out there pursuing a music career in producing, and he's working with some big name artists out there. Big to him, not so much to me, I don't know them anymore. And then my youngest son, he went to college, wasn't really sure what he wanted to do with his life, and he's milled around a little bit and found this wonderful job where he works, and he works with autistic men. Basically, they are usually his age or a little younger. They are what he describes as fully functional, so they're able to go out and be able to do fun things together. And when I saw the picture up there, Jeremy Cook is, sometimes he is a local celeb where I work, because sometimes he's a wanderer, so he likes to walk away. So sometimes we all know Jeremy from work, but when I saw his picture, I only noticed his picture because my son actually has become really good friends. You know, when they teach you to do what he does and work with them, you know, they have different words where they call them patients or clients, but my son actually calls them friends. So he loves what he's doing. He works with a couple of different ones a week, and he loves it. So he's got a heart for it, and it's so funny because I do too, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So how many of you ever had to call 911 for anything? Yeah, so that's good. They say an average person usually have to call 911 at least one time in their life. So when we work with those who have some type of physical disabilities or any type of mental challenges or anything like that, sometimes you might have to call us a little more often than others. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So go ahead. So we are actually key players when it comes to helping find your loved ones that may have walked away, or there might be some issues with anyone in your family. And this is just not for those who have autism, or they might have, as you can see, someone that might have some physical challenges and might have been in the wheelchair, or they might be bedridden. This is for everybody in your family. This comes in good for you whether you have any issues or not in your life. And my 911 telecommunicators, they play a key role in figuring out the type of emergency that is occurring and to determine proper responders and equipment needed in a particular situation. They're going to ask you several questions when this happens. They don't do it to aggravate you, they do it to collect enough information to help the responders, and then of course help take care of those that may be in need. So things to remember when you call us and you're calling 911, it's very hard to do, but just take a deep breath and try not to panic. That's the first thing. Now, one thing that we don't like to say is when you call, I hate for someone to say, "Ma'am, just calm down, we're going to help you," because you shouldn't have to be calm in your situation, right? So we try to work on different verbiage and things like that when someone calls in. But for you, just try to take a deep breath and don't panic. We're there to help you. Plan on what you're going to tell us. What's going on actually at your location? Let me know what's going on. Plan on what you think you could say, and can you really do that in time of need? Sometimes not so much, but it's good to try to take that into consideration. How many of us still have landlines in your house? More so than others, all right? So nowadays we turned into the cell phone life, right? So with our landlines, there's a couple things I can tell you what your landline does for us if you call from a landline if possible. Your landline's going to give me exactly your phone number. It's going to tell me who actually pays the bill, whoever that number is listed to. And it's going to give me your exact location. So it's going to tell me exactly where you are. With your cell phone, what it's going to tell me is a couple of things. It's going to tell me, number one, your phone number. And it's going to tell me who your cell phone provider is, whether that's going to be Sprint, or whether that's going to be AT&T or Verizon or Cricket. That's what it's going to tell me. And then it's going to give me your GPS location. So we're going to be able to take that number and place it in a map. And a few years ago, that would get us into about 300 yards. So if we're not clear on yardage, that's about 3 large football fields together, 3 football fields. Now we can pinpoint it right at your location. But if necessary, or for our benefit, we would really like for you to call us from a landline. That way we actually have it. We're going to talk about ways, if you don't have that you can help us also. Whatever you do, don't hang up. If you don't think someone's going to answer the phone, stay on the phone. Just remember, if you see something major going on in the city, everybody else that has a cell phone, they have also seen it, so they're also calling. But whatever you do, just don't hang up. Someone's going to get to your phone. You're actually there. You get put in a call queue, and someone's going to answer that the next available operator is going to answer that. And just answer the operator's questions. No matter how agitated you get, no matter how upset you are in a situation, just try to answer those questions. That way, the more information you can give us, that's more information we can give to those responders. And stay on the line if you can. We're going to ask you, are you in a safe location? We're going to ask you, do you feel comfortable standing on the phone with us? If you don't, that's okay, but we try to let you stay on the line, especially if it's an emergency situation. And when you tell all that kind of stuff to everybody, it sounds really easy when you say it, but as soon as you dial those numbers, you're not going to remember this. So what I'm here today to talk to you about is what we call Smart 911. Smart 911, oh, well, before I talk about it, we're going to talk about location. How about that? We'll talk about location next. So the most important thing I need to know from you is where you're located. If I don't know where you are, I can't send you any help. Be specific on where you are. I mean, Takes Creek Road is kind of big. New Circle Road, it does go in a circle. We'll drive that circle eventually and probably find you, but it is 22 miles round, so it might take a little while to find you. Yes, ma'am.
Do mile markers help you with location if you can know the street address?
Yes.
Like,
however, if you tell me you're at Circle 4, a lot of my operators do not know what Circle 4 is. So
right, but if you say New Circle and you say mile marker this?
Sometimes it can, but we like to know inner or outer and between which exits. And if we know that, then we're going to be able to find you pretty much.
What if you're on the interstate?
On the interstate, mile markers are great for interstate. Well, if you're going north or south, east or west, and what mile marker that you are. So yes.
Pay attention to them, guys.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason.
So we need for you to be specific. So if you tell me you're on Man of War, again, that goes from Winchester Road all the way over to Versailles Road. So it's big. And we're going to have a lot of fire stations and a lot of police officers in that area that's going to try to help find you. So be specific. If you don't know the address, look for landmarks. So a lot of times I say this in a mixed setting. I can tell you where about every shopping center is in Lexington, right? So I can say, oh, I'm at the Lansdale shops. I know where that is, but I might not know the location. So they're going to find me in the Lansdale shops. They're going to find me if I say I'm at Fayette Mall. And then at that point, we're going to ask you, well, where are you in Fayette Mall? Are you in the front or the back? And if they say we're at the food court, we know where you are at that point. So those are some of the things. If you don't know, be specific on your landmarks. But if you tell me you're at the Walmart, I have a few Walmarts in Lexington, so I'm going to ask you which Walmart is at you're at Kroger. Yeah, we have a lot of those too, so I'm going to try to get you narrow that down to be a little bit more specific for me. If you don't know, look for street signs. If you're able to get to an intersection to show you street signs, I'm not saying if you don't feel comfortable driving or I don't want you to walk if you're injured, but if you can see a street sign, tell me what those street signs says, that I'm on the corner of this and this and I'm going to get you some help. If they can't find you, they can't send you help. Now we'll talk about Smart 911. Okay. So, or not. We're going to talk about what's occurring. I swear it's in there somewhere. That's what I'm here for, I promise. So we're going to ask you what's occurring, and then we're going to ask you if it's in progress. It absolutely makes a difference for those responders, whether or not how fast they get there. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that one time we had separate fire department and police department dispatch centers. Well, in 2006, right before the plane crash that everyone refers to as 5191, its anniversary was yesterday, as a matter of fact. But right before that occurred, we merged together. Well, we got married, but we still lived in separate houses. And in May of 2014, we moved into one house together. And then that was down at the police headquarters. And then October of 2015, we refurbished the old juvenile intake that was on Cisco Road, and then we made it into a public safety operations center, which houses the Department of Emergency Management. It houses us. And we have split the building up a little bit, and also houses 311. 311, if you ever have to call 258-3000, or they'll say, call 311, if you hear that. Those are the people who answer the phone. So they take care of everything from 8 to 6 that is related with the city. Most of the time they can, if you have troubles with your garbage pickup, that's what 311 does. Department of Emergency Management, they take care of any type of weather-related emergencies that we have, any type of major hazmat spills, any things like that, they would actually come out on and assist. And then we handle everything else. So we have two numbers. We have the 258-3600 number. That is the administrative number for the police department. And 231-5600 is the administrative number for the fire department. If you call those numbers, you're going to get to the same person. That same person is going to transfer you out so you can get you some assistance. Everything that we do in 911, we have priority systems set up. The fire department responds to everything as a priority one. They deal with life and death, and they deal with destruction of property, so we dispatch them everything as a priority one. Once they get there and they determine what the seriousness is of the call, and at that point they can determine whether or not they're going to run lights and sirens to take that patient to the hospital. But they come out on everything.
That's why a fire truck came when I broke my ankle.
That is exactly why. And that most of the time you just don't see an ambulance.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people don't know is that we do have more fire trucks than we do ambulances out on the street. So because of that, each one of my fire trucks has a paramedic that is attached to it. So they will respond, and so the EC can get there. We have them strategically placed out in the city so that the response time is about 5 minutes or less, is how that works. Yes, ma'am.
Can I make a suggestion that you advertise that a little better? Just because when that firefighter did show up, I said, I don't need a fire truck, I need an ambulance.
Well,
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, I will talk to the community services people when they do that, but I'm going to be on YouTube, so maybe everybody will catch it and watch it.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm telling you, this is going to go viral. I'm telling you, it's going to be huge. So basically, we do have 12 ECs that are now in service, that are running now in service. We do have 2 backup ECs, so believe it or not, the size of Lexington, we do run out of ECs every single day. So that's why the fire trucks are housed with paramedics. We do have 22 fire trucks. We have 12 ambulances. We have 7 ladder trucks. We have 1 rescue engine that also performs as a fire truck and a first responder with the EC. And then we have out on the street 5 district majors and 1 boss out of all that, which is, they call him Unit 200, which this gentleman in the back right here is a retired fire battalion chief. Hence the way I've been telling him what to do for a long time, so I kind of picked him up on the other side of the radio. So, and as far as police are concerned, police run in different priorities also. Priority 1 is considered life or death. Priority 2 is destruction of some form of property or to assist fire. And then they have different reports that go in there. For priority 3, it's a criminal, something criminal might be going on, but it's not nearly as important as that priority 1, so they'll get to them quickly. So when we answer the phone, from the time that my call taker answers that phone and collects your information, ships it over to the dispatchers, and I do have call takers that answer the phone, then I have a police dispatcher, I have 3 of those, and then I have 3 fire dispatchers. So once the call taker takes that information, it gets shipped over to the police and fire dispatchers. At that point, they get it dispatched. They only have 2 minutes to be able to collect all that information, get it into the computer, and get someone dispatched. Now, they can stay on the phone with you longer, but they really need to collect as much as they can. So it's very important that they collect where you're calling from, what your chief complaint is at that particular time, who you are, and your phone number. After that, they can stay on the phone with you and collect everything else, but they're going to ship that information over to you at that point. So we'll determine what is occurring. At that point, it determines whether or not there's going to be police response or fire and EMS response. Okay? So that's a lot for you to remember. Yes, ma'am.
So just want to say I've had a bad experience when my son had a seizure and they sent police. If you're like he's belligerent after he has his seizures, they struck him down. A lot of bad things happened. So I learned not to say police, to ask for fire if he needs assistance. My thing is I'm never calling anybody when he has a seizure just because it was such a bad experience. But in the future, if I ever should somehow say I have to or something, I would say fire, because I was told the police have to take it 1 step higher. So if my son is like pushing and stuff, then they have to go 1 step higher with whatever amount of force they use to.
Well, we're going to make sure that never happens to you again based on this information we're going to talk about. And I'll be honest with you, that probably has occurred more often than a lot of people, and not here per se, but across country. When you deal with someone that has some form of autism, or they have some type of seizure or whatever when they come out of them, they're not to themselves. They might become belligerent. They might try to run. There's a lot of things that can happen at that particular time. Well, that's what this program that we're going to talk about will help us already help you. So we'll be able to have that information on there.
My
that
son's
says,
on 911. He's on smartphone 911 now.
oh, that's wonderful. So then that way, if he ever calls, and we're going to talk a lot about that, and we're going to use your situation, if that's all right.
Sure.
Okay, great. And I've met you before, haven't I?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've met before. Okay, so what she talked about was a horrible experience for her. And we want to make sure that never happens to anyone else. Where there was a situation before where we had a 19-year-old, and she was being disruptive with her grandmother. And she was really yelling and screaming out in the front yard.
We know
and yeah, I think everybody did. I mean, because it was a pretty rough experience for her. And had she not walked out the front door, she was being very ugly with the police because she didn't know any better. And they were going to tase her. And she had to run out and holler, oh, no, she's autistic, don't do that. So now with this program that we have now, this is actually going to help that this never happens again to anybody. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, I've asked several firefighters, police officers, EMT, where do you check for medical alerts? And a lot of them don't know to also check not just wrist and neck, but also check shoes and belt loops.
Mm-hmm. I just read that today.
Yeah.
I literally just read that today when I was doing some study about different places, because you don't want them, to take them off or whatever place.
Right, they might be on their shoe, like right here, or
Yeah.
they might be on a belt loop if they're the kind that removes their shoes.
Yeah. I
And
literally just read that today.
so
yeah.
my son wears one, but it doesn't look like a typical medical alert because it's a road ID.
And those are great things with this program that I have, that you can actually put onto this program, that we will know that they have their information on their person, because that seems to be pretty much everything I've read, that if there's a way that you can have them wear a necklace, if they can stay in the necklace or their wrist, and if that's the case and they don't like it, the other places you can store it, this is going to be a great place for you to put that information. So we are able, as the first responders, to deliver that information over to our police and firefighters, so as they respond, they know what they're coming to and they know what they're looking for.
So do you have any connection with them that you could, like, maybe...
Yeah, married one.
Yeah, let somebody know that they should be checking in those locations.
Yeah, they actually, matter of fact, that they do have a community services unit for both police and fire that go out and they do the things like I'm doing. They come to neighborhood meetings. They come to different associations and they talk about those things. Even for people that have diabetics or any type of heart troubles.
Yeah, we go to the police meet and greets.
Yeah.
So I tell them
they do have people that are actually, I am not a paramedic, so I'm not trained in a medical field by any means. I'm just trained to do what I do, and that's to answer the phone, and I train the others to do that. But the more information we collect in our community, the better it is, because we do want to make it community friendly, so everybody can help everybody in a time of need. We obviously have done a lot of research on autism and some diabetic information. I have done some on some seizure information, just so I know how to train my people on what questions to ask. But this program that we have, Smart 911, it doesn't make my job any easier, but it sure will be able to it's another resource for my operators to have, so they will be able to find that information. Say, if you see this person, please look in their shoe for their information. Or if they're, and we're going to talk more in detail about what they can do as responders, such as lights and sirens and uniforms and things like that, to make it easier for those when they actually come in contact with someone that might not like that type of stuff. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. Yay, we're going to talk about it now. I knew it was in there. So, Smart 911. It is a free service that we pay for through 911 funds, another service that help us help you, okay? It is equivalent to a Facebook profile used by 911 operators. All right, so you go in and you build your profile for me. Then when you call me, it automatically pops up so I can see your profile right there. That's how that works.
And it reminds you every year to update it.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
I know I get an email about it.
Smart 911 also allows the subscriber to enter any critical information online. So anything you want us to know about you or your family members or your household, you can put that in there. I'll use Todd back there. I know he just said his daughter just sent his daughter off to college. He can link his daughter's phone number to his account. So if she calls and needs some form of assistance, it will pop up and it will say, from August to May, she resides at Transylvania at this dorm here, here, and here. So if she ever calls and we're unable to, so we're first going to ask, if she's able to talk, we're going to ask her, hey, are you at this location, her first primary location? And if she says no, then we're going to send them to Transylvania. If she's unable to talk to us, and I see that she's called me between August the 8th and May the 5th, and I know she's at Transylvania, I'm going to send them to both locations so I can make sure she's okay. And then I'm going to call Transylvania Police because they have their own police units there. So we're going to let them know that we got this phone call, all right? So I used it for my son at UK. This stuff travels with you, and we're going to talk all about it. It's a great program. I tell you what, it is probably one of the, I don't know whoever invented this, but it's probably the smartest thing I think anyone could have ever done to help us serve our community better. All right, so you may enter your medical information, any type of rescue information. You can add photos of those who are affiliated with a registered address. You can also go in and add your pets' pictures, because a lot of people love their pets better than they do their children. We see that a lot. So they can put that in there. They can put vehicle information of what vehicles should be there at their location. You can even tell us where bedrooms are located, all right? Something else, and we'll talk, it's another slide, but I'll go ahead and tell you that some people that have autism, they have safe places that they might go and hide. That would be great for us to know, because if there's a fire and we're telling you to get out, so you don't run in and try to get your loved ones, that's their job to do, obviously. That would be great for us to know. Can we say upstairs in the second bedroom, there's a closet, that's where they will tend to hide when they're frightened. That way they'll have that information available to them just like that. So this is a wonderful program. Go ahead. All right, so it says, Smart 911 can help with wandering or elopement. So if the person starts to wander, all right, do we have any wanderers in the room? Do you have anybody that likes to wander? Okay, so this is going to be great for you. This is also great if you have anybody that may have some form of dementia or Alzheimer's. This information, you can go ahead and you can put in their safety profile. Once you put their profile in, something we can do with that is we can ship that picture out to our responders, so they can already start to look for that particular person. So remember I talked to you about Jeremy Cook. I guess it's okay to say his name. It's not really anything because you guys know him. He is a wanderer. So because he is a wanderer, we were able to take his picture, and this just happened just a couple of months ago. And we were able to ship this picture out, and they found him within like 25 minutes. He was just taking a walk. Baze is what he told me, I'm just taking a walk. But, you know, his cowboy hat gave him away, though. That's how I knew him. You can put your physical description on there. You can put your home address to assist the responders in locating them very quickly. So, again, this is something, if you know that this person wanders, and let's say that you have a convenience store, you have a library, you have a park, you can put normally found in the park area. We can go ahead and send someone there and let them start looking in the park area. Now when you do call in and it is a missing person, you did get a lot of responders that come in there. So if I have all this information already about your loved one that I can go ahead and ship out to my responders, look how much quicker that it would be that we can find someone that may have wandered off. Obviously a medical emergency. That's usually what people call 911 for, is medical emergencies, or their house is on fire. All right? So if there's a medical emergency, you can go ahead and give me specific medication that you take, or that someone in your house takes. Or if they're allergic to something, you can go ahead. So, you know, now the big question is, are you allergic to the latex gloves? Are you allergic to whatever? They can go ahead and we can ship that information out to the responders also. So they already have a small medical bio about who you are. That way, if they do get this person and they need something, or they're injured and they need to administer something, they can already see on here what would be great, or how they can actually treat that patient. Here's a great one, the behavioral condition. This is a perfect thing, especially for those that have autism. We do know that they go through different forms of behavior at different stages of their autism, right? So if they have that, that is great to let us know up front. So when they pull up, there's not an issue like you experience. They don't tie them down, that they try to handle him gently until someone can get there that they're familiar with, that he can talk to, where he's not afraid and where they don't restrain him thinking he's just another bad boy causing problems.
Well, the assistant told them not to, and said that she was trained to say not to and to let him, his running seizures, and to let him run. And they wouldn't listen to the assistant.
Well, I hope you
They
never
said-
have that
They
experience
said the
again.
assistants say things that aren't correct a lot, so they ignore whatever the assistant said.
And again, I don't know, I'm not a police officer, so I really don't know what their protocol is when it comes to that. Just like I said, I'm not a paramedic. When they show up, I'm not sure of that. But there are definitely ways, if they know ahead of time what's going on, that obviously they can wait till the paramedics get on scene to perform that care if need be. Hiding and sensory reaction, we were just talking about that. If they're very sensitive to flashing lights or the loud noises, I have been in several autism fairs where I see a lot of children cover up their ears a lot. Sometimes I'm a loud talker, so I think, oh, that might be me, but they just don't like the noise in the room. So a lot of times you see them with their hands covered over their ears. That was new to me that I learned. So if we know that ahead of time, they might respond lights and sirens to get there, but when they get close to your location, they're going to turn those off so it doesn't become another problem for that person when they get on scene. Also, we just talked about the safe place. Let us know. Let us know if they have a certain safe place that they go to when they're frightened and they like to go hide. If something's not, might not particularly be going the way they need it to be and they're scared of something. Let us know that so we can say, make sure you look here. This will come in handy, especially if there's a fire.
In the future, is there going to be a better way to say whether or not there's a service animal as opposed to a pet?
Yeah,
those are different.
There's a block down there that you can put in anything you want us to know. And
Okay.
it actually, it doesn't specifically say
'Cause there's a-
service animal.
Right, because there's a
But you
place
can go
for
down there and
pet,
put
but I
that
have
on
to.
there. You can
Yeah.
you can check the pet and then down at the bottom, because a lot of people put us, even their pet sickness. Believe it or not, they'll put it, we do not treat animals. We don't. We will get cats out of trees though. We will do that. But in the very bottom, there is a place that you could list that information. Okay?
So you can list not to separate the handler and the service dog.
Yes.
And not, because with my son, it's a team of 3.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be somebody who holds the leash, there has to be him, there has to be the dog, and they can't be separated.
Well, you can definitely put that on there. Now, let me explain this to you. I do not know the protocol of those who would have to, if they were to have to transport him from that location someplace else. I cannot tell you the way the transport works because that's not my cup
Right.
of tea. That's something you definitely have to talk to police and fire about, of them transporting that particular person and that service animal with them. I would think that it would not be an issue, but again, that's something that we're really going to have to talk to police and fire about.
Right,
But if
'cause-
we know it, we can let them know ahead of time and they can already start working on that.
I've seen where they've taken the service dogs and they've, our son's service dog has this command called over and down, and it's where he lays on my son to provide deep pressure and calm him down. And I've seen where in an ambulance, they might have that, where the dog's laying on the person. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know what the regulations are now, but there used to be a state regulation, we couldn't have an animal at all in an ambulance, a licensed animal.
And things
But
may
I
have
don't know what
changed.
it is now.
Yeah, things may have changed up, especially because service dogs are becoming very
Right.
common now. Or service
And
animals, not just
service
dogs.
dogs are exempt from the licensing in
So if that's
Fayette
the
County.
case, it might not be an issue.
So-
But again, that's a question that I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't like to tell anybody I don't know something. So when this is over with, if you could give me your name and phone number, I'm going to call somebody that can give me that information.
Sure,
Okay?
I would love that.
All right.
Thank you.
So again, anybody else have any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Is this Smart 911 service available in most cities in the country?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
even the small towns where maybe even a couple of thousand
Yes, ma'am, but
people
we're
live?
gonna talk about that,
Okay.
yes, ma'am, we're gonna talk about that, because a lot of people like to travel.
Yeah, my family is spread out all
Yeah,
over the place.
and we're
now.
gonna talk about how
Okay.
you can, thank you, we're gonna talk about how you can find that information out here in just a second.
Go ahead.
So this is kind of what it's gonna look like, all right? They've updated a little bit since this particular slide, but you'll go in and it's www.smart911.com, and I don't expect you to remember that, I've brought you some goodies so you can take with you, okay? But basically you go in and you build this profile about yourself, all right? So if you know, this guy here is one of the guys that was the big inventor of it, so if you, oh, I'm gonna get in your way, all right?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So this guy right here, and I'm going to move just a second. His name is Todd, and all this information you see has been collected has been about Todd here, okay? So it gives his name, it gives his hair color, his eyes, his gender, his age, his height, his weight, his blood type. It gives everything that he wanted us to know about him on this particular slide, all right? There are other tabs up there that you can go to that's going to talk about, down at the bottom it tells you all of his medical. It tells you his rescue help. So it tells you that he's hearing impaired right there. Some of these boxes, once you click on one and you write hearing impaired, it might pop up another box for you to go into a little bit more depth with that, such as they have hearing aids or do they need an interpreter and things like that. Here's all the phone numbers that are listed, and it is his house number down there at the bottom, all right? So it's going to give us any, it says up here, it says any special notes. You can see it says incoming call is from a phone associated with this person. So it's going to say, for instance, if Todd's daughter's on campus and she calls, it's going to say this number is affiliated with this particular address and this person if they have her picture up. We're going to verify that information and find out where she's located. But there are so many other tabs. I just wanted to give you the highlight of what it kind of looks like. Now this has obviously been updated, like I said, since this particular slide. They just did a whole overview. Matter of fact, they've now even got apps and things like that on your phone. Their app is not available to us in Kentucky yet, but it will soon be. It'll soon be out. And it's called Smart 911. If you have a phone that you can put apps on your phone, it's on there, so it's an easy push. Just a little bit more about this particular program. They're actually housed with a place called Rave Mobility. Rave Mobility also now, with all the terrible school shootings and things like that, they have panic alerts and panic alarms and things like that for schools. So administrators and teachers have buttons already associated with their classroom, have associated with their particular school, where they're located in the building. If there should be a school shooter, they can just push a button and this information can be delivered to the into our center. Right? Go ahead. So, people want to know, is it secure and safe? Absolutely. It says you decide, because the information you're giving me, there is no violation. We don't ask for Social Security. They ask your age, might ask your date of birth, but not your year. It only asks the information that's relevant to aid and emergency response. Anything you want us to know about you is you're building it for us. So whatever you want us to know, at that point, you've given us the okay to look at your information. We can only see it when you call 911. I have administrative rights. I can go back in and see that you've called. I can see if you have, now something else coming out there is text to 911. I'm old school. I'd much rather hear you tell me what your problem is than to read it. But we have a way that we can text you back from Smart 911 to say, hey, we've received a call. Do you need police, fire, and ambulance? If so, call us back. You can respond back to that text, but we have to go ahead and preempt the text first. But it is only available when you call 911. So it's not anything like I can't go in and pull up my name and see that I'm a member of 911 and look at all of my information. There's not anything in there that I wouldn't want everybody to see anyway. But it is just something that a lot of people want to know. Your information is housed in a top-tier secure facilities. It is encrypted by, and this is above my raising and learnings, but same socket layers that most financial institutions use. So they're saying that they can encrypt all of your information, so if someone were to hack into our system, they wouldn't be able to collect it all anyway. We're under a police network that no one can get into our network anyway and be able to hack in and collect your information. But again, they don't ask anything that would have any risk of there being any type of identity theft. Right? So, saying all that, we want you to help us find you. All right, so this talks about, and I'm going to leave these here. This is, we do take care of the GIS department with 911. We do have gentlemen that go out and they look to see if your house is numbered right. There are brochures that tell you properly how to do that in the city of Lexington. All right, you can go in and they'll give you details on how to do it. Make sure that your numbers stand out more on your house. They have to be so many inches so they can see that. A lot of people like the decorative yard signs, and that's fine for decorative purposes, but you still need to have your numbers displayed. If you are in a location and you can turn on your porch light to help us find you if it's nighttime, flip your porch light on so we can help obviously find your house like that. If you're in a car for some reason and something happens, just pull over and turn your flashers on. And if you're in a rural area, send someone to the end of the drive to meet the responders. That's always good to know. Go ahead. All right, here's a few facts and I'm going to tell you. Someone asked me, I'm going to go ahead and answer a question real quick. Smart 911, the best thing about Smart 911 is it follows you wherever you go. So if you go to Michigan, and I know the whole state of Michigan now supports the Smart 911 program. If you go to Michigan per se, and you end up there and you have an issue and you dial 911, all of your information that you put in here travels with you there. There's over 75 million different people in the world now that are associated with Smart 911. I can't give you particular and specific counties around the world and around the country, but I can tell you that Canada has it, the United States has it, and if you need to know, when you sign on to this website, there's a place in the bottom that says, does my community support Smart 911? You put in your zip code there, and it will tell you. There are 30 counties now, I think, in the state of Kentucky that have it. I do know that all the surrounding counties, with the exception of Paris, supports it at this particular time. Versailles is in the process of getting it, I believe.
So Jessamine County has it?
Yes, ma'am. Jessamine County for sure has it. Winchester for sure has it.
I've heard of it.
Frankfurt for sure has it. Lawrenceburg, Owensboro, and those are ones like Erlanger. Northern Kentucky is starting to get it now up in the northern area by Cincinnati. So the situation that occurred with the boy in Cincinnati that they couldn't find him in the vehicle, they have since signed on to Smart 911 so they would never have that issue again to be able to find the child that was trapped in his car where the seat fell on him. So they now have Smart 911. I mean, it was a tragic accident. And you know, it's awful that sometimes we learn by our mistakes, and that's exactly what we've done. We've learned by our mistakes, and that's why we think that this is a program. But a lot of things people don't know about us. I received almost 900,000 calls last year for service.
2,000? That's just in Lexington?
Yes, ma'am. And this combines police, fire, and EMS calls. So you can see it rings about every 29 seconds. And the average call takes about 2 minutes to collect the information and get responders on the way.
What's the difference between just regular 911? Is it because of the information that you have already?
So you have Smart 911 and I don't. So when you call 911, it's you're going to be able to provide more information than I because I'm not signed up for it. So when you call 911, not only will I get the information that pops up when you call, which is affiliated with our mapping system, your information will pop up. But then another box will pop up and give me all of this Smart 911 information. So you're ahead of the game at that point. You know, a lot of times people, I'll give another story that I can tell you that a friend of mine, and it wasn't here, it was in Louisville, his mother had a stroke. And she called 911 15 times, but she couldn't speak. So they thought somebody was playing on the phone. She ended up trying to call her daughter. Her daughter realized that there was a problem. Police finally show up over there and realize they found her in the backyard and she had had a stroke, but it made her nonverbal at that point. But so she couldn't speak. Now she signed up for 911 and it says on there she is a stroke patient, and when she does have a stroke, it may cause her not to speak. So if she calls, that information's already there, so we can ship somebody out to start looking for her if she were to wander away. But it made her go into the backyard for whatever reason. So,
Do you recommend anything in addition to what we talked about for a nonverbal like child, like my grandson who's 20, I think, what if I have an accident in the car and I can't respond to anybody and I have this child with me? Should he not have something, a bracelet?
Well, she was just saying that, Amber, she was just asking me that. So, I'm not sure how it works, but I will tell you what I think, what I know. So I had a grandmother that was a severe diabetic. We put a bracelet on her, so we would know, all right? If you travel a lot with your grandson, and you can even put on the car, sometimes with nonverbal 20-year-old autistic grandson, you can put his information and linking to you would be fine. Because if he's at your house and something happens and you have a problem where you can't speak, then we'll know that already, that he is there with, could possibly be with you. Yeah, if you're in a car and you call and you're unable to speak, well, first of all, I want to ease your mind just a little bit. We're going to get help to you as quickly as possible. That's number one. Number two, it is not always a bad deal. Most of the people now, they have gone through, because autism has become so, and I hate to use the word popular, but we have started to learn more about autism in the last few years than I think I've ever heard. So we are starting to become more educated about it. Our responders take several classes on it. So they too are also, so we never have that situation, because there's always that one situation, and if it was unfortunate that it was her family members that went through it, to make us learn, we need to look and figure this out a different way. So we're going to get you the best help we can possibly get you. If he is nonverbal, it doesn't hurt to link him to your address. It doesn't hurt to link him to the house that he lives in. Now we have a lot of communities that they have assisted living, so they are functional enough that they can live by themselves, but they still have to have a caregiver there 24/7, basically. So we're okay to have that information too. It's okay to put anything you want us to know. That way, if we do show up and he happens to be in the car, they'll already know.
So you're giving us information on how to do that?
Yes, ma'am. I surely am. I'm going to give you some information. Yes, ma'am. Yep. All right. So is there anything else? Any more questions for me? All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to leave you a few information up here. I've got a couple little goodies that I'll hand out to you guys. I'll leave them here and you all can pick them up, and there's extra on the table. So if you all have them that didn't show up, you can get them.
I have a question. Since my son's on those, we don't get a notice every 6 months to.
It should be in an email. They've now made it where they'll link it to your phone number. If not, I would just go on there and check it out.
I was just checking it out and realizing I needed to update some things.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would do. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Now we have this, and I'm the programming manager for the library. And then I'd like you to meet Colleen Hall, who's our director of community engagement. She's going to correct me if I tell you anything wrong. I was really excited to be able to work with some EKU occupational therapy students, and I know that they may have polled you through your listserv. We have a little bit of a project with them and are now providing sensory regulation tools that people can use inside the library, so they can go to the children's desk and borrow those things. We were so excited. They showed us all the research and made a proposal, and we said, we're in. So anytime you're with anyone that might like to use those, please go to our children's desk and ask for those things, and we'll gladly let you see what we have. Yeah, we're really excited about it. We like to think we're autism friendly and also people friendly, because we serve so many different kinds of people. So I wanted to introduce you to just a few quick things, because I have a little almost 2-year-old son that I have to get home and put in bed in a little bit. So I'm going to speed through this, but I wanted to tell you some things maybe you aren't aware of. We have lots of different facilities across our 6 locations that you can use at any time. You know, if you want to have a club, if you want to have a meeting, you can use our meeting spaces. You can also come and preview those. We have a meeting room space in the basement of Central Library that some groups like to use because it's more low light. So if you would like to come tour those and see if they'll work for you, you're welcome to do so. And we have many meeting rooms and throughout our 6 locations. I know recently we've had an Eagle Scout group that does an autism-friendly showing of a movie at our Farish Theater, and I wish I had the exact dates on that for you, but feel free to. Okay. Yeah. It's really great. We're really excited to be able to. Yes, yes. We also have a bunch of different digital resources, which I like because they're more customizable than a book. We have an app called Libby, and Libby has audiobooks and ebooks, but you're able to customize them to your needs, including they have a dyslexic-friendly font. You can change the font a bunch of different types of ways. You can change the way it appears in terms of contrast. So if you have people with some challenges in terms of being able to see, be sure to check out Libby, our app, which has all of our ebooks and audiobooks. We also have...
Does it just go up, EBY?
Yes, and actually just go to lexpublib.org to our website.
Can you send us the flyer?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
can post it on there.
Absolutely. It's just really nice. There are maybe 5 or 7 different ways that you can choose to have a font and a bunch of different ways the contrast can appear. Of course, you can make it larger, smaller. I always think it's a great thing to have someone listen to a book while they're reading it. So a lot of different options to support people wherever they are. We also have Flipster, which is e-audiobooks. E-magazines. So we have like 70 different titles from, Boy's Life to Southern Living. So no matter what your interest is, and also different ways to make it appear on the screen. So to make it very legible and clear to you, no matter what your circumstances. We also have a new group of materials called Vox books, which are kind of like the old talking books, where you hear the chime and turn the page. Except for it's all in one, so those are in each of our children's departments. They're on non-fiction subjects as well as, just good old picture books. But you can play and listen and turn the pages, so that's a really nice tool for a lot of families.
Is that VOX?
VOX, yes. And they should all be displayed together. Again, we have really nice, friendly people to help you, so if you come in and say, I don't know what it was called, we'll be glad to show you where those things are. Programs is really what I do, so we're big into programs. In June and July, we had 24,000 people attend our events, so we're very excited about that. We do everything, I've said for the summer, we do everything from Bluegrass to belly dancing, anything you're interested in, we have a program on it. So if there's something your family's interested in, we would love to explore it. And I just want you to hear it from me that you are always welcome to any program we have. And if there's something we could do to make it a more enjoyable experience, if you'll just call us ahead and let us know, we will try. We will really try to make it the best experience possible for you.
You all did a couponing class recently too.
Oh yeah, we do a couponing class, for sure.
That one's repeated, by the way, so if you missed it,
Yes, that's a very popular
it shows up on
one.
Facebook.
Then we also, the best way probably to keep up with us is to look on our Facebook page. We post a lot of our events there, but we also have paper calendars you can come pick up, or on our website we list all of our events. We have 26 story times per week, so huge amount of programs. There's something, like I said, from Bluegrass to belly dancing that will appeal to you, and like I said, if there's not, call me and we'll see what we can make work. We also like to support people on their employment journey. We talked about your son getting recently employed, so we have Job Lab with Goodwill, and so that's once a week at our central location. They'll help you wherever you are in your job search process across all different kinds of professions and interests and jobs. So you can always come drop by, and you don't have to make an appointment. You don't have to call. Just drop by. It's Job Lab. We also have a service called Book a Librarian. So that's where you can book a 45-minute session with a librarian for whatever you need. Maybe you're working on a school project. Maybe you need some support for, I don't know, almost anything. Whether it's doing your family tree, or I need to have resources in the community that do this, can you tell me how to get in touch with them? We will customize a session for you through Book a Librarian. So really eager to help you. And we also have lots of computer training. I know a lot of people are interested in computers, and it helps you move up in your career. We have a plethora of computer classes, from like beginning Microsoft to we have 3D printers at our North Side lab that, of course, anybody is welcome to use.
You don't print guns.
We don't. Luckily, it takes so long to print something that's about this big that we wouldn't be able to.
Do you charge for that, like for the materials and stuff?
What about the computer classes?
Everything we offer is free in terms of classes and programming. I'm not sure about the cost of the filament.
I'm not sure either, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we charge for the, there may be some size.
You can't make a car, right?
Right.
Just piece by piece.
Right. There may be some size constraints on what you're allowed to do so that you're not there for 24 hours.
Does this job help you write resumes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
Anything
this
that
is
you-
available at all branches, like
Currently-
Bellefonte and everywhere else?
Currently, it's at our central location.
Only
It's
some.
because we have our nice computer lab that's
Okay.
always available. And
Right.
normally what people are working on are applications and things online. But you're
Yeah.
welcome to come with anything related to jobs and we will help you.
And parking in the garage is free for 2 hours.
Yeah, parking is free, absolutely.
So you just get your ticket
I think it's Thursdays,
stamped.
but don't hold me to that. It will
Probably
be
on
on,
the website.
absolutely, would be on our website.
That's why people don't like to go downtown, because they're like, you have to pay for parking.
Right.
But if you go in the libraries, you don't.
Yes, we'll stamp you. The last thing is if you are ever interested in bringing a group for a tour of any kind, we always love to have that. We can always arrange for you to do something specialized to your interest, whether you want to get your hands on some historic materials in our Kentucky room, or you want a children's librarian to do a story time on a particular theme. If you want to come visit us, we'll try to make something work for you and plan for you.
We do story time for kids, younger children with autism, that's sensory friendly.
That was one of the things we were really discussing with the EKU OT students. So we're really interested in exploring, and our children's librarians are really eager for that kind of training. We're not there yet, so we're not perfect, and we're certainly friendly and hoping people come to us, but we recognize there's some things that we could work on and be more educated about.
I would want that to be for older children as
Yes.
well,
Oh,
because
yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
Thatcher would totally enjoy
Yeah.
something like story time, but it's all for little kids, and it's all at times where he's at school.
Right.
So
Just a thought for long-term planning. I hope you connect with us to kind of, as you move forward in that direction, because I think that's a really.
I think that would be a cool thing to sponsor.
Sure, absolutely. And the last thing I wanted to let you guys know about our library is that we've hired a firm to examine all of our locations and all of our services and tell us where we may need to grow, if we might need to tweak buildings. What is it that the people of Lexington want from their library? So I would really encourage you all to let us know those things. What is it that you would need and want out of your city and out of a library that would support it? So we're always listening and recording it yourself. Make an email, Colleen, and I'll get with you all and send you some of the links I talked about, because I just have my little piece of paper here, as well as our emails to get in touch with us.
Do you have any handouts?
I didn't bring any handouts.
Tell me your name again.
I'm Natalie Davis.
Okay, thank you.
So I really appreciate your time
Thank you
today.
so much. Thank you.
Appreciate